welcome back, listeners, to Inner Peace, Better Health with your host, Sana. Now, in today's powerful conversation, we are diving into something we have all experienced burnout. Now, whether you are a busy professional, caregiver, or simply trying to keep up with the demands of modern life, burnout can creep in silently and steal your joy, health, and sense of purpose. And joining me is a deeply inspiring guest, a true transformation catalyst who blends ancient Vedic wisdom with modern healing modalities like yoga, hypnosis, energy healing, and coaching. With a legacy rooted in traditional Indian yogic lineage and global insights from living in countries like Syria, Uganda, and Tunisia, our guest has helped hundreds reclaim their vitality, joy, and even double their income. And this conversation, we are not just talking about burnout, listeners. We are talking about how to turn it into a breakthrough, how to make it our motivation. So grab your favorite cup of beverage, take a deep breath, and let's get started. So, listeners, meet Anjuly Rudolph. Anjuly, welcome to the show, and it is an honor, as always, to have you with us.
Thank you, Sana. Thanks for the nice words. I'm very happy to be here.
So, Anjali, you are helping hundreds transform their lives holistically, not only
Mhm.
mentally. So, before we talk about how the transformation works and what are some daily practices and why it is essential, I guess burnout is something, as I mentioned in the intro, it silently creeps in. So, what are
Yeah.
some early warning signs of a burnout that people they often overlook? Especially those who think they're just being productive.
hmm Yes, Sana. So, the most of the things from the yogic perspective, when we look at the things, your energy starts depleting way before physical or mental ailment shows out on the physical plane. So, it's important to understand that something especially when it is on a mental level, something like a burnout or a depression happens very slowly and it's a gradual process. It has been rooted somewhere very far away in our past. Maybe there was some kind of a traumatic experience, and it's not necessary that you have experienced something really. A war or a death or something. Sometimes it's also
Okay.
just how you perceive trauma, so it can just be a moment of feeling lonely or of a moment of overwhelm, which we have ignored somewhere in the past. And then, in addition to that, of course, our nutrition, our sleep patterns, and our
Mhm.
working patterns, they all play its own role. So, a lot of the times, burnout is something where people are into professions which is not something that is driving them. It's not something which is coming from a place of passion. It's more coming from a
Okay.
social pressure, a familiar pressure. So it's a cocktail of how you emotionally feel, how you physically feel, and what kind of
Mhm.
overwhelm you feel in your day-to-day life. And all of them builds over a time, and then that's what we experience as any kind of a depressive state or burnout or overwhelm.
Hmm. Hmm. That's such a good explanation. And you know, and this is really very common, especially in many high achievers, to
Mhm.
ignore signs, until their body actually breaks down and forces them
Mhm.
to stop. So how do you advise, to learn to listen to our body?
Very simple things, actually. If we just make sure that we take a good restful sleep, because sleeping is not just, going back to going to bed on a certain hour of time, but it is so much more about regenerating your vital organs. It's so much more about giving your mind and your body the much needed rest. So, in the high achievers, it's a common thing that people think that, oh, I can sleep when I die. So, there you would very often hear people underestimating the value of sleep. So it's not just being lazy. It's not just being that, oh, I'm tired, so I'll go to sleep. It's actually when you sleep, your body is rejuvenating, your body is repairing whatever you have experienced during the day. And in addition to that, it's also your mind is sorting everything that you've experienced during the day while you sleep. So your mind is processing all the information and all the data that your brain has received on a certain day. And that's when your sleep patterns work on both
Mhm.
these ends. So it is important to understand that we have a sympathetic nervous system and we have the parasympathetic sympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system is when we are active, we are doing things, we are in our day-to-day routine. So that's like, your fight, flight, and freeze mode. So
Mhm.
that's mostly producing stress and a high energy, but at the same time, it's like as a day is reported after a night, the night also has its own values. So the other side of your nervous system is the parasympathetic sympathetic nervous system. That means rest, digest, and reproduce. So initially, when if you look at our ancestors several thousand years ago, there was a pattern to our days that, we didn't have electronic lights and stuff. So we used to have the pattern of sleeping when the sun sets and waking up when the sun rises. And we had our circadian rhythms. So the body was actually working according to the circadian rhythms. Now, when we are in the modern lifestyle, a lot of us work in night shifts and,
Yeah,
sleep during the day. So your
yeah.
circadian rhythms are totally impacted. And even if you're not someone who is working in a night shift, you might be someone who is scrolling on a phone for a very long day and not realizing that every minute that you spend with a screen is impacting your resting hormones. And if your resting hormones are not working properly, then what happens is that your patterns change, and then that means that your digestive patterns change. And when your hunger and your digestive pattern changes, your sleep pattern changes. So when all of that is haywire, then physical ailment or a mental ailment is just your body's cry for setting the
Mhm.
balance back. So your body's
Mhm.
if we start looking at any pain, strain, or anything that your body is sending you as a message, like a smoke alarm, then we would realize that body is simply trying to tell you to reset your system so that the bigger damage is not happening. So burnout is nothing else but your body telling you to slow down a little, reduce the stress hormones, and work more on your parasympathetic nervous system so that your body can also come back to balance and repair what has been damaged. So it's interesting that in modern day life, we spend more time on servicing our cars or our mobile systems or our computers, where we forget about servicing our own selves in terms of mental and physical health. So that's important that we realize that it's equally important.
That is such an irony you mentioned, but such
Mhm.
a great, it's kind of a sarcasm on uh, how we assess the value of anything. Uh, that we take care of our cars or our houses or our gadgets. In fact, our clothes and everything. But in all this hustle and bustle, we forget to even listen to our body.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
one
different.
aspect. That's one aspect, but it's also for a very long time, sleeping has been associated with laziness.
Yeah.
So our conditioning is such that if you are taking time to rest or if you're taking time to take a nap, then people around you they would make fun of you and would say, "Oh, you're such a lazy bum." So, but it's important that it's that we change that theory, that it's not just, I'm not lying down or I'm not sleeping just because I'm lazy, but it's also important that I'm giving. I also put my mobile on charging for some time every day. So it's just that I'm recharging my personal batteries while I'm taking rest. And one more thing that I really want to mention here is that applies to women too much, so much more than it applies to men.
Yeah.
Of course, men and women both need good rest, but women have a longer digestive tract, and women traditionally and in the social circumstances are such that they work on a 9 to 5 job, but they also work a lot more in the household than the men do. So they need actually more rest. And who is the one who wakes up first thing in the morning and who is the one who goes to bed last? So
Yeah.
it's also one thing very important that we realize that women need that rest more. And if a woman in the family is rested well, then the family automatically gets more rest and less stress.
Mhm.
So that's also an important aspect of that.
Definitely. Definitely. Thanks for bringing up that, Anjali. And um, one point you mentioned about uh, the circadian rhythm and sleep. Um, so in the modern setup, many people out there, it's kind of a non-negotiable that they have to be in night shift. So in such scenarios, uh, although it kind of it does damage our circadian rhythm and it is harmful, but how do you suggest to balance? I mean, is there any way we can balance the damage done or maybe rectify something to
Yes.
ensure that it's not detrimental in a long way?
Absolutely, absolutely. There are a lot of things that can be done. First of all, it's important to set an intention to realize that my rest is as important as my working time is, because I can only give something from a vessel that is full. From an empty vessel, I'm not able to give anyone anything. So it is important that I fill my vessel constantly so that I can give something out of my vessel. And to do that on a practical level would be doing some practices like Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra is a conscious sleep which you do for, you can do it for 10 minutes, depending upon how much time you have, or up to 40 minutes. So once you do a yoga nidra, it compensates for almost 4 hours of sleep. So even if you are into a profession where you otherwise get less sleep, it's important that you make time for at least these short naps, which is called yoga nidra, which is a systematic way of sleeping so that not only your body rests, but also your mind quietens down and your cells rejuvenate. So that is one practice. But other than that, it's also important that we give rest to our five senses. It's important that we understand that your eyes, your ears, your nose, your skin, your tongue are
Yeah.
constantly receiving data from the outside world. And this data is
Mhm.
being transferred to your brain. So your brain has to work more if you have more input from all these sources. So it is important that whenever you get a chance, let's say you're waiting in the grocery queue or you are waiting in a doctor's waiting room or somewhere for your meeting, whatever time you get, that you just close your eyes and try to also just simply shut down your five senses for whatever time permits, so that your body is receiving less data. It has to process less data, especially your brain is the highest energy consummate of your body. So, if we give less information to our brain, that would also be giving rest to the brain. So that means that instead of senseless scrolling on the phone, or instead of just flipping through some magazines or some books, it is important that you just take a few moments. It can be just 1 single minute or 2 minutes where you close your eyes, you just watch your breath going in and out. So even that can be very helpful to feed sow a plant of restfulness throughout your day. So being aware of where you are receiving input which is not needed for your system, which is overloading your system.
Hmm. That that is so useful. And talking about yoga, you mentioned about yoga nidra, how it can help in sleeping, and I guess it also helps tap into vital emotions most other forms of movement bypass. So
Yes,
can you share how emotional awareness through yoga can lead to a balanced and reclaimed joy?
yes. First of all, most of us are not aware what you are feeling right now. If you would see, the moment we are alone for just a few minutes, we have forgotten to be bored. We don't know how to get bored anymore, because we right away take our phone in the hand, or we would flip through a magazine, or we would just totally look for something to fidget around. So we are never really taking time to not do anything at all. Just, sit there and look at the horizon, or just be there, or just spend a few moments barefoot in the nature, or go somewhere in the nature and spend some good time along a river or something. So these simple things, simple practices would already be very helpful. And Yoga Nidra is a very good way of actually, Yoga Nidra is not about meditating on what has gone wrong in your day. So, we are not really focusing so much on what emotions are there, because mostly we know. But when you have time, it is important that you sit down and jot down whatever is going on in your head. So, to sort, your journaling is a good way of doing that. So, just sort out
Yeah.
whatever is in your head and become aware what are the thoughts that are present in me right now. And just, navigate yourself a little bit. If you see, like, just like in your car, as I said earlier, your fuel tank is showing, like, your needle shows that fuel is so much, or it is less, or it is more. The tank is full, or the tank is half full. Similarly, you also have a radar within you, so which is constantly showing you where you are right now. So when you watch your thoughts, let me ask you for a moment. If I ask you right this moment, what is one thought that is present in your head, and how would you connect it to an emotion? What is one thought that you
Mhm.
have right now?
Okay. So when you mentioned about the sleep and the circadian rhythm part, it
Mm-hmm.
kind of, first of all, um, generated a sense of, uh, you know, anxiety that, yes, anxiety and awareness at the same time that, yes,
Mm-hmm.
my sleep pattern is not, uh, you know, naturally or according to the nature, it is kind of reverse. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where the question came to my mind that,
Okay.
if even if it's non-negotiable for me, then how exactly I can reduce the damage. And
Okay.
secondly, it brought back to the time when I had burnout and then I was having erratic sleep patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I was sleeping time, but I was sleeping like for 15, not 15, but around 12 hours, 10 hours
Mhm.
straight and feeling very tired.
Mhm. So basically, that you notice that right now the emotion that is present in you is anxiety. Yeah. So that
Mm.
means that you are on a that your fuel needle is showing that there's very little fuel in you. So if you had noticed
Yeah.
something like so, let's say, let me tell you a few emotions which are pointing towards very little fuel in you, and then the emotions which are
Mm.
pointing at that the fuel tank is full. So if you are in fear, if you are in helplessness, if you are in anxiety, if you are in bitterness, if you are in envy, if you are in jealousy, all these emotions are showing that your tank is getting empty slowly. Yeah. And if you find
Mm.
yourself even if in boredom, then that means your boredom is like your tank is out full. And if you see that you are moving towards hope, if you're moving towards courage, if you're feeling love, if you're feeling curiosity, if you're feeling uh, gratitude or appreciation, that means your tank is relatively full. So at every given moment, if you watch your thoughts, you will very clearly be able to see where your
Mhm.
emotions are guiding you right now. And if you realize that you are feeling that your tank is getting emptier every moment, then all you need to do is for now coming back to that you're feeling anxiety at this moment. So, Sana,
Mhm.
what is personally for you the opposite of anxiety?
Joy and having that, um, basically, a note. I shouldn't have any tension thinking about, oh
Okay,
my
so
goodness, what will happen now.
let's
Mhm.
stay with joy, right? So now
Okay.
you know that if your tank was full, then you would be moving towards joy. Now just close your eyes for a moment and go back to one time in your life where you experienced joy. Maybe it's a few years ago, whenever it was, just one moment where maybe you were enjoying a sunset or cuddling with someone. Where I would just give me one moment in your life where you felt that joy.
Okay. So I'm able to recall two moments. When you mentioned
Let's
about the
go
word
to
joy.
let's go to one
Okay.
such moment. Just close your eyes and connect
Mm-hmm.
with that moment of joy. So when you go back to that moment, are there any people or any and what do you see around you when you go back in that scene?
Absolutely. I see my parents, especially my
You see your
mother and
parents.
my yeah,
Okay.
my partner,
So
my mother. Yeah,
okay, so stay with that theme. So now you have oriented yourself to your visual sense. If you would orient yourself towards your hearing sense, what is the sound present at that time? Are you having a conversation? Is there any kind of music playing or any natural sound that is present around you?
so there is no music, it's just the natural sound, it's the sound of birds chirping and
Very nice.
calmness,
Okay.
a very cool breeze. Yeah,
Okay, so now you are experiencing the presence of your parents and your partner around you, and you are experiencing that cool breeze on your skin, and you're hearing some chirping sounds of the birds. Is there any smell that you connect to this moment?
mm, okay, so it's the smell of mud when the rain falls for the
Ah,
first time.
mitti ki khushboo. Very
Take a
nice.
good.
Okay,
That's the
exactly. So now stay with that feeling. Your parents are around you, while you're feeling a sense of security. There is this
Mhm.
mitti ki sondi si khushboo and then chirping birds, and then you feel that warmth on your skin. Now, can you also relate it to a taste?
Oh wow, that is difficult. That is
Okay,
difficult.
doesn't matter. So now when you think of all these feelings, you're feeling the warmth on your skin. You can hear the
Yes.
sounds of the chirping birds. You are sensing that smell of that sondi khushbu, mitti ki gili mitti ki
Yeah.
khushbu, and the presence of your
Right.
parents around. What feeling are you now in?
I'm really excited. I'm like feeling like smiling or giggling, that childlike giggling. That
Exactly.
everything
So,
is fine. Everything is fine.
this is a very simple exercise. How quickly you could change your emotion from anxiety to that childlike giggling, right? So all you need to
Yeah.
do is figure out where you are on that scale, on that radar, and then see if it is a good emotion, stay with it. If it is not, then look for the opposite emotion, and then get back to a time in your life where you experienced that emotion. If you did not experience any such emotion, then you can also connect with an imaginary situation, and now you connect all your five senses with that one emotion, and your
Mhm.
entire chemistry would change. You would be so surprised that your body would literally uh, produce physical expressions of that feeling. Yeah. So
Wow.
probably if you had related this to a taste, then it could have happened that you also feel that mouth watering in your right this moment. So that can
Mhm.
happen. Your body totally responds within seconds when you do this exercise. That
Absolutely. And it brings those, childhood moments, that nostalgia. When you mention about tastes, maybe in that taste in that moment I was not able to get, but it kind of reminds me of, when my mom makes kheer. It's
yeah,
kind of, a sweet milk and rice combination dish. And
and now your mouth is watering, right?
exactly. And I'm just savoring that moment when she made kheer for me, and she kind of, gave a big, quantity of kheer to someone else, and I was like, why did you give that kheer to someone else? It was for me. Why are you not, letting me enjoy the taste of that beautiful kheer you made? So it was kind of
Yeah.
that, beautiful moment I exchanged with my mother. So yeah,
Exactly.
I
And what has happened on a physical level now is that while you were in anxiety, your sympathetic nervous system was working. And now that you have moved from anxiety to joy, your parasympathetic nervous system has become active. It is such an easy possible thing if we understand.
wow, wow, that is awesome. Thank you, Anjali, so much. Thank you. This was super great. So, just in the better interest of time, since we don't have time, so before we wrap, if our listeners would like to connect with you, I guess this particular session itself is such a great motivator, should be a great motivator for our listeners to connect with you. So if they wish to do that, how they can.
Oh, yeah, I'm very happy to help. I have a website which is in German and in English language. So
Uh-huh.
maybe you can put the link to my website next to your podcast, then people can connect via my website. My phone number is there, so that can be used as WhatsApp number as well. So your listeners can connect with me through my website, my Instagram page, or my Facebook page, and I'm happy to help. I also have a YouTube channel where a lot of such small processes are there online, absolutely free, so they can feel free to go and have a look at them.
Lovely. I'll make sure to have it in the show notes. And uh, Anjali, thank you so much for getting me familiar with my inner peace. And thank you for this absolutely nourishing conversation. Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't, and this is exactly why I love doing this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sana. And I want to thank you because you are spreading such a nice vibe in the world. And the world needs more such people. So thanks for being there.
Lovely, lovely. And listeners, I would encourage all of you to connect with Anjali and just seek the takeaways from this episode and apply this in your daily lives. And definitely, reclaiming our time and joy is not just about doing less, it's about realigning with our purpose and emotions. And thank you to everyone for tuning into Inner Peace and Better Health. This is your host, Sana, signing off.